Hello, today I'm going to walk you through the features and benefits of the Close to My Heart die cutting machine. This machine has it all. It has everything you need to do all the different die cuts and embossing that you would ever dream of, all in one machine with just a few platforms, and I want to show you how it works. So first of all, on the side here, this is what makes it so unique, is that you have dials and cranks to help you adjust the pressure for the different projects you would be cutting. So you can see here I have a setting for die cuts, for letter pressing, and even 3D embossing. So I can just simply adjust this dial based on what I'm needing to cut. You also have a second dial which helps you with the pressure. So you can go all the way to a very tight pressure and to loose. So when I'm using this machine on cardstock, I like to stay between a 0 and a +1, depending on if it's colored cardstock or white daisy cardstock or even glitter paper. Always I'm using between a 0 and a 1. If I'm using an embossing folder, I will come all the way to the -5 tight space to get that embossing folder just right. So those are the settings my personal use is just between the -5 for embossing folder and between a 0 and a 1 for the different pattern papers that I'm working with or cardstocks. So again, that becomes a personal preference. Once you've played with this and used it enough, you can see what works best for you, and this is really all you need. And so when you can adjust your pressure like this, then you don't have a need for a lot of different mats. So let's talk really quickly about the handle. It does pop out and remove itself, so that if you're traveling with this and packing it in a bag, you can remove this handle so that it doesn't stick out and break off or anything. You can just simply remove it and pop it back in when you are to your destination, whether you're going to a crop or somewhere to use this machine. Now, when I pull these arms down, the machine is suctioned to the table. So now you can see that I cannot move the machine, and it's a great feature because as you start to crank and use that pressure, then nothing will slide, your projects won't move, and you'll be set at the entire time these arms are down for the platform. You also have these handy compartments, which I love about this machine. On both sides, you can add anything you need in there. You can throw your dies in there, you could add any other tools or an X-Acto knife. Anything you need to help you in your die cutting process can be hidden in these nice little compartments. So that's another really cool benefit and feature of this machine. So now let's talk about the platforms and the mats that you have. So it comes with 3 different platforms. You have your base platform, then you have a cutting mat, and it also comes with an adapter. Now, if you are using Close to My Heart product exclusively, you do not need this adapter. The adapter is for steel ruled dies, and so those aren't ones that Close to My Heart carries, but if you own those or have a need for that, that's where your adapter comes in handy. But without needing that, you really just need the cutting mat and the platform, and that will get you everything you need. So no worry about fussing with different adapters or different shims to make different projects work. You simply adjust the dial, and that's all you need. So let's cut a few things so you can see exactly how this works in action. So I've got my handle towards myself so I can crank that. I'm going to pull the arms down, and now it's again locked in place. So there's 2 different ways you can build your sandwich for cutting. So one way is to start with your cutting mat down, and then you can grab your die, and I'll grab a piece of cardstock here. So you can put the cutting mat, your cardstock down, your die cut down, and your platform on top, and simply feed this through the machine. So I'm going to crank this through, and you can feel where your die cut is because you get a little resistance on the machine, which just says it's working, it's doing its job and putting that pressure on. And again, it's a personal preference if you want to crank this all the way through or crank until you hit your die cut and then back it out. So either way is great. I personally like to back it out because then it gets a second pass. It doesn't need a second pass, so it's not necessary. If you have filled this entire cutting mat with dies, you would just go all the way through and everything would be cut. But when I just have a die that's right here at the top like this one, I just go to there and back it out. Either way, it works great. So now you can see how easily that cut right through the paper, and I've got these fun dies. So that one piece, cut those 2 parts right there. The second way you can do this is just the reverse. So in this instance that I just cut, I put my platform on top to create my sandwich. The other option is to put your platform down first, and then you would put your paper down. Now recognize that the important part is keeping the color that you want would go face down, because what you're going to do is put your die cut side up, and then you're going to put your cardstock down. So knowing that Close to My Heart's cardstock is two-toned, or like a pattern paper might have two different designs, whatever you want to be cut needs to go against the die. So if I want this lighter shade of cardstock, I'm going to put the lighter shade down, and then I'm going to put my cutting mat on top of that. So it's just the reverse, and it, again, is just a personal preference, whatever you feel most comfortable with in the process. So I cranked it through, I'm just going to reverse it, and you'll get the exact same result. So again, it's just, if you like to be able to see exactly where you're placing the die, then you might want to place the die and then place your paper on top. The only thing that really matters in this entire process is making sure that your die cuts into the actual cutting mat and not onto the platform. And I love that even that is labeled for you on these products. You can see right here on the platform it says not a cutting surface, and on the cutting mat it tells you that you can use the front, or you can even see I've already started using the back, and you're getting some love, which is some of these cut marks, and that's exactly what it's for. And this is a lot easier to replace, and it's made for cutting into. It's got some of that give to it, which allows the die to just cut right through the paper, and you don't want those marks to be taking place on your actual platform. So either direction that you want to use the cutting mat, that's what it is designed for. So all of these features in this one little machine and these few little mats really help you to have success in your die cutting, your embossing, anything you want to try and create. The possibilities are all there. It even works perfectly with the glitter paper. So I use the same setting as I do the cardstock, and it works great every single time. I love that about this. And this will also cut up to 2 sheets of paper at once. So if you want to do 2 different pieces of cardstock, that is our recommendation. You can, again, just adjust the pressure to give you a little more space to cut through 2 sheets at once. So that's another really nice feature about this. Sometimes as you're cutting, you might notice that your cutting mat starts to warp or bend just a little bit. That does not hurt it, because as it comes through the machine, the pressure is happening right here in the center, which does kind of cause that warping from time to time. And even if your mat starts to warp, it's easy to just adjust that through the pressure. So it won't hurt your mat if it warps a little, but if you don't like that warping on your mat, just simply adjust your pressure and it works great. So if you love everything I showed you about this amazing die cut machine, contact your Close to My Heart independent consultant, because they are the ones who can help you to get this machine. It is available as a hostess item, and if you ever need replacement mats or any components for the accessories of the machine, a Close to My Heart consultant can order those for you as a supply item. So have so much fun in your die cutting and embossing adventures with this Close to My Heart die cut machine.